Good afternoon, BNI Minnesota. How are you today? My name is Jeremy Walsh. I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. So today's webinar is on the online renewals. We're going to be stepping through the online renewal process and seeing how it all operates, both from a member point of view as well as from a director point of view, so that you guys can see how it works. You can also help to explain it to your members and help troubleshoot it with your members if they're having any trouble with it. A couple of housekeeping things before we get started. This is a live webinar. It's not all PowerPoint. It does have some PowerPoint in it, but we're actually going to be going through and I'll be showing you the various screens in the system. The second thing is that we are recording this live webinar, so if you need to use it in the future, I will make a link available for you. It will be on our YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. So youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. Please do feel free to ask questions as we're going through the material today. The best way to ask questions is to type your question in to the question panel here in the GoToWebinar software. Usually, if we unmute all the microphones, it tends to be a big cacophony of noise with background noises and dogs barking and cars going by. So we find the easiest way is to type the questions in. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. As I said, we're going to be talking about the online renewals, and let's take a look at the process. And this is the overall process for the membership renewals, and that is the first step is a member completes a renewal application. Second step is the renewal is reviewed and approved, and finally, at the regional office level, the renewal is then reconciled. So let's first take a look at this process from a member point of view. So there's actually 4 different places that a member could start the renewal process. The first place is they can click on the Renew Now link in the reminder email. So 60 days before their membership is due, they get a reminder email saying, you're coming up for renewal pretty soon. Would you like to renew now? And in that email, there's a link that they can click that says, Renew Now. And that will bring them into the application. The second way is there's a Renew Membership link on your regional website. If they click that renewal button, that also will start the renewal process. The other 2 ways are when they're logged in to BNI Connect. The first way is they can click the Renew Now link on the home screen in BNI Connect, and the second way is they can click the Renew button on their Profile tab. So let's take a look at all these different ways that a member can renew. So I'm going to actually log into our testing system, and I'm just going to log in as a plain old member here. Let's see. I'm going to log in as my good friend Harvey Keitel, Harvey K. So Harvey's now logged in, and Harvey would like to go ahead and renew his membership. So in order to renew his membership, again, you can do that from the emails or click this Renew Now link here on the home screen. The other way is he can go to My Account, and there is a Renew button here as well, right next to the active membership status. Either of those ways will take you to the same place. It will take you to this renewal screen. Now, keep in mind, I'm using a member from Antarctica up in the Burr chapter. We wouldn't want to renew a real member right now. So keep in mind that the fees may be a little bit different, and the questions on the renewal are going to be a little bit different. But they can still choose 1 year or 2 year. They can then answer the questions. Anything that has a star next to it is going to be a mandatory question. Obviously, the questions in the live system will not have Japanese next to them. At this point, they also have an option to check and update their membership details. If they click this red plus sign, they will get all of the information on their profile. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that they do have the ability at this point, if they would like to go in and actually change things that they may not normally have access to on their regular profile. Most notably, they have the option to choose a new category and classification at this point. If they do decide to do this, you will be notified of that change, and the change will not happen until the membership is approved. They then have to agree to the general policies. They can click on the link if they'd like to read the full terms and conditions. And finally, proceed to payment. So at this point, the application is actually submitted. It is ready to go. Even if they back out of the process at this point, the application is still input into the system and it is saved there. Here's where they would choose their different payment types. Now here in Antarctica, we only have one way to pay, and that is with cold hard cash. But in your region, in Minnesota, you would have the other options as well. So you'd have the option to pay via PayPal, which is done on the BNI MN website. So they are directed to go to bnimn.com, and they could use the Pay Dues Online in order to choose the PayPal method of payment. If they are choosing an offline payment such as that and not a online credit card payment, which would bring them directly to the authorized.net page, they do have the option to verify that payment as well by clicking Upload. So especially if they're going to be doing something like PayPal, that will give them a receipt for that, and they can then upload that receipt. They could save the receipt to their computer and then upload a PDF copy or an image of that receipt, and it would save it along with the application. One thing to keep in mind is that they do need to click the Submit button in order to register their payment. We find that a lot of people are skipping this step to click Submit in order to recognize the payment. So now this person was actually pre-approved. So they were told that they were approved, and now the application is going off to the regional office. So from a member standpoint, that is pretty much all there is to it. They click on the Renew Now link, they input their application, they make a payment, and then they're done. So again, they complete their application renewal. The member chooses the payment, and there are a number of notifications that happen during this process as well. And I'll show you guys all of those a little bit later, all of the different emails, who gets which emails, and when those emails go out. So what I'd like to do is, because that person was already pre-approved, let me go in and make sure I submit an application for somebody else so that we have the ability to approve an application as well. So excuse me one second. Let me sign out with Harvey. And I'm going to sign in with Jacob here. Poor Jacob has never logged into the system before, so he's getting the approval screen. Let's go ahead and renew right away. It's going to be a 2-year renewal. Let's answer the questions. Accept and proceed. Choose a payment method and submit. All right, so the next part of this process has to do with the approval process for leadership teams. Now, a couple of things about the approval process for leadership teams. Every online renewal must be approved also online in BNI Connect. So that means that it cannot be fully processed, it cannot be reconciled and made active by the regional office until an approval is done in BNI Connect. So this is something new for the leadership teams that they haven't done before online in BNI Connect, but it's a pretty simple process. The approvals can be full, they can be conditional, or they can be declined as well. In your region, you have two different ways that you can do the approval. Either pre-approvals, meaning that before the member has renewed, you can pre-approve that member. So that way when they get the application put in, it'll be processed right away. There's also post-approvals, meaning that after the member has submitted their application, then you can go in and run that approval. And again, your regional office can't do anything until the application has been approved one way or the other. So let's take a look at how the different ways are that we can do that. So there's two different parts, as I said. One is the pre-approval and one is the post-approval. Now the pre-approval can happen on the renewal link in the membership committee renewal reminder email. So that email that goes out 90 days before the membership renewals for a chapter, next to each one of those members in that renewal list, there'll be a link that brings you to the pre-approval screen for that member. The second way that you can pre-approve somebody is through the membership dues report. So let's take a look at how that happens in BNI Connect, so the pre-approval process. So let's log in as one of my leadership team people. So I'm going to log in as, let's say, somebody from the membership committee. So let's see, Mike Jones is one of my membership committee people. His username is actually Barto. So on the membership committee, all they're going to be doing is reviewing the application. And they can do this again through the membership dues report. So I'm going to go to Reports, Chapter, and I'm going to go to the membership dues report. And what we'll see here is all the different members in our chapter that are up for renewal at some point. So we can see here that we already have a few people that are pending renewal. Jamie Jones has a renewal pending. Harvey Keitel has a renewal pending. Jacob Goodwin has a renewal pending. All the rest of the members here potentially could be pre-approved. Now, right now there isn't a time limit on the pre-approvals. You can actually pre-approve people at any time. Even some of these members here that Rebecca Goodwin here, I've renewed her a number of times to the point where she is now due in January of 2042. We can pre-approve her, but it will give us a warning message saying it seems to be a little far away to be pre-approving this person. Another thing to keep in mind is that when you pre-approve somebody, they also get an email saying you've been pre-approved. Would you like to renew now? From a membership committee standpoint, when we go in to pre-approve somebody, all we'll see is their statistics. So we can see who it is, we can review their performance over the last 6 months, and we can have a look at their training details. So if I wanted to take a look at Rebecca's training details, I could click on the link. It will open up a new tab, and I could check out her training details. So I can see that she attended a member success program, and that's a good thing, but she hasn't done much else. So I may want to take that into consideration when I am renewing this person. While I'm on her profile, by the way, I can go and check out all the rest of her information. So I can check out she's not participating in any groups. I can see she doesn't have any testimonials. I can see what her connections are. I can see she hasn't filled out her profile yet in BNI Connect and hasn't uploaded a photo or a logo or anything like that. When I'm done reviewing her membership, I can go ahead and close it. And because this opened up in a new window as well, I'm going to close this tab. And that's it from a membership committee standpoint. Again, all they're doing is they're reviewing the memberships, and then they'll make their recommendation verbally or via email to the vice president. So let's log out now as the membership committee person, and let's log in as, let's say, my vice president. Now, my vice president is Albert Camus, so I'm going to log in as Albert here. And it's the same process for Albert. He's going to go to Reports, and he's going to go to the Membership Dues Report and click Go. Now, let's say that Bob Jones is coming up for renewal in January, and we'd like to pre-approve him. And it looks like we've already pre-approved him before. So let me pick a different person here. Okay, and we have Andy Test here. I can check out Andy's performance. Again, I can look at his training details. Now, as a vice president, we have 3 options here. Now, before we can do anything, we do have to click on this box saying that we certify that all necessary membership performance reviews and discussions have taken place. So this is our clause that lets us know that they're doing their jobs correctly. We also have 2 other options here to do a conditional approval or to certify that we've sent any control letters. Now, this is here just as a notification really to the on the record that this has happened. As far as the system is concerned, as far as the membership is concerned, there's no other changes that take place if you choose a conditional approval. It's really just to put on record that it was conditional. Now, what is a conditional approval? That is really up to you guys and your region to define. In some regions, it means that the person is put on probation. Some regions, it might be that they have to complete, let's say, something like a 60 Days to Success program in order to remain in the chapter. Whatever it is that you define as a conditional approval, that would be up to you. After that, I would click the Pre-Approve button. And now Andy has been pre-approved. When Andy does go in and submit their application, they will be pre-approved already. They'll get a message saying that they were pre-approved. Andy was just sent an email saying, your membership committee has pre-approved you. Would you like to submit your application now? All right, so I'm going to sign out there, and now let's look at the post-approval process. So now that we've done a pre-approval, there's the other option, which is a post-approval, and that means that a member has already submitted their application, but they weren't pre-approved. So in those cases, we still need to go in and do an approval for the member. So there's 2 different ways that this post-approval can happen. The first way is on the renewal link in the application received. So when an application is input into BNI Connect, so the renewal application is input online, the membership committee, the leadership team, and the director consultants will be sent an email saying, somebody has just renewed, please go in and review this. The second way is through the pending applications screen. So let's take a look at this. So let me log in again as my one of my membership committees. So let me log in as Bardo again here. So what I'm going to want to do here is go to Operations Chapter, because this is done again through the Pending Applications screen. We would go to Manage Memberships and View Pending Applications. And here we can see that we have 4 different applications that are in the pending stage. So we can see that Harvey Keitel was pre-approved already. He has been approved, but the regional office hasn't completed this yet. Jacob Goodwin, his application was submitted, but not approved or declined yet. So we can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the Approve screen. And again, as a membership committee member, I can go ahead and review this. And then I would notify my vice president of my decision of what I would like to do with this member. So now I'm going to log back out, and I'm going to log back in as my vice president. And let's go back to the same place. So I'm going to go to Operations Chapter. I'm going to go to Manage Memberships and go to View Pending Applications. And here again, we have our two that need approval. We can tell because of the arrow here. So let's take a look at Jacob Goodwin here. And we can see all of his details. I can review the application if I'd like to by clicking on the link. And here's his application, so I can see all the different ways that he answered his questions. I still have to certify. Now in this case, I don't really want to renew Jacob. I'm going to go ahead and decline him. So what I can do is I can make sure I mark off if we've sent him a control letter or not, and I'm going to decline Jacob's membership. Now declining, we'll just put a decline on his record. If there were payments made already, the payments do need to be returned to him. Jacob is not told that he's been declined. That is something that does need to be done manually by the Vice President Membership Committee. You will be notified, however, via email as a leadership team that a decline has taken place. We still have one more to deal with here, and that is Jamie Jones. I'm going to go ahead into the approval screen here. Now Jamie, I like Jamie, been a very good member, so I'm going to go ahead and approve this membership. And now these are all set. From a director standpoint, directors, you also will have access to this function for your chapters. And you also have the ability as a director, in some cases, to review that declined decision. All right, so let's just review this real quick, and that is the renewal approval process is the membership committee reviews the application online. Then the leadership team member records the approval. And finally, the region will review and reconcile that payment. All right, so let's take a look now. The next part of the process that happens is that the regional staff does reconcile this. I'm not going to go through this part unless Tanya or Nancy tell me otherwise, but I think this is reserved just for the regional staff. But let's take a look at the email notifications. So there are a whole bunch of emails that happen during every step of this process. The first is prior to the actual renewal, there's a number of emails that can go out. The first one is the 90 days before renewal email, and that one goes to the director consultant, the vice president, the secretary treasurer, and the membership committee. This is the same email that has always gone out. The difference is that the secretary treasurers now also get a copy of this message, and that message will have the renewal approval link in it. The member also gets a 60-day renewal reminder with links to Renew Online. Now, a member also has the opportunity to opt out of the renewal. When they get the email saying, would you like to renew now, there is a link in there that says, I would like to opt out of renewal. All that this does is it puts a flag on their record that they've opted out, and it notifies you as the director consultants, the leadership team, and the regional office that somebody has opted out of their renewal. The record is not automatically dropped or anything like that. They can still stay through the rest of their term. It would have to be manually dropped at that point. Or this is also an opportunity to possibly talk to the member and find out what's happening, why they've opted out of the renewal, and possibly even turn that around. And finally, there's also a pre-approval email that goes out, and that goes to the member, letting them know that they've been pre-approved and that they can go ahead and proceed with renewing. So now during the online renewal process, there's a number of other emails that can go out. When a renewal has been submitted successfully, a copy of that renewal is sent to the member via email. And the same thing, if they complete their online payment using a credit card, they're also sent an email letting them know that that payment was successful. Now, if they decide to do one of the offline payment methods, such as cash, check, or PayPal on the regional website, that notifies the regional office, the director consultant, and the leadership team that an offline payment is on its way. The Vice President, Secretary Treasurer, Membership Committee, and Director Consultant are also notified when a member renews online. And finally, if a member does make those changes to anything on their profile, the regional office, the Director Consultant, the Vice President, and the Membership Committee are notified that changes were made. In the case that they made those changes and there was a pre-approval in place, it will actually unapprove them because of those changes that were made on their profile. And finally, after the online renewal, we have the renewal approved email that goes to the member, letting them know that the renewal has been approved. The payment requested if they hadn't paid yet and there was an approval made, they would get another email saying, now it's time to pay. When an application has been approved, the leadership team and the director, consultant, and regional admin also get a notification, and the same thing if one is declined. So here's a very quick who gets which emails, and as a director consultant, these are the list of emails that you will get. You'll get the 90-day reminder, you'll get an opt-out notification, an offline payment, an online renewal received, a member detail changes, an approval, and a decline announcement. And that is the online renewal process for members and director consultants. So what I'd like to do now is to open this up for questions. What questions do you guys have, or what can I show you again as part of this renewal process? And Tanya or Nancy, if you would like to add anything, feel free to do that now.
Julie, I know you had some amazing questions. Hopefully, Julie, you're on the line. I would love it if you could jump in and ask Jeremy those questions.
Yep. I have one question from Diane right now. Says that, is the VP the only one who can approve? No one from the membership committee? That is sort of correct. The membership committee cannot actually approve the membership. However, unless you've changed this, Tanya, Nancy, by default, all of the leadership team, so the president, the vice president, and secretary treasurer, do have the ability to actually pull the trigger on the approval. Does that make sense, Diane? Does that help?
I believe we did change that, Jeremy, and only the vice president in our region can do it.
Okay, so only the vice president. So I apologize for that.
Oh, no, it's good. Don't worry.
All right, what other questions? We have a quiet bunch today.
Okay, Jeremy, I have a question. What if someone a member?
What if someone, I'm sorry?
If someone accidentally declines a member, how do we go in and fix that? Or can they go in and fix that and change that to an approve?
That will depend if they have, let me log in as a director consultant here. Let me close out of this. So, oh, I need to pull up my other screen here. Hold on a second. All right, I'm going to log out here. And let me get over to the system. So under the pending applications, we can review the decline, and basically director consultants have the ability to do this. Leadership teams do not. But you can see that this application is currently declined. I have the ability as a director consultant to override this decision, and I can force an approval on this. And that will change that from a declined to an approved renewal. However, you can't do the reverse. So I couldn't take an approved renewal and decline it afterwards. So does that help?
It does. Thank you.
Yeah, I saw this in California.
So what are some of the what are some of the issues that maybe our other directors or other regions or other members having, and how can we help and be prepared for that?
So a couple of the challenges that we've had so far with the online renewal process, we've had really only two challenges. The first of which is if we're finding that some members that work at financial institutions that happen to have extremely tight security policies and or are forced to use really, really old browsers like Internet Explorer 8 in some cases, that the button for the payment doesn't seem to work. It's blocking the script behind the payment. So when they go to submit their payment, it's basically not doing anything. Unfortunately, that issue is out of our hands, the fact that they're blocking that functionality in these corporate networks. In that case, the recommendation is to have them go to a home computer, a computer off of the network basically, and process their application that way. The other challenge that we're having is that people might be following the instructions for the offline payment, but they're not following through with clicking the submit button, which means that basically BNI Connect, even though they might have sent their check in already or processed the payment on PayPal, whatever it might have been, the system doesn't know that they did that because they didn't click the submit button. In those cases where they just didn't click the submit button, all they need to do is to go back and hit the Renew Now button again. The application will already have been put in, but they will have to just click on the Pay Now button once they click Renew Now.
Jeremy, does something pop up when they click on the Renew Now button again that their renewal application has already been processed, but there's still a Pay Now button that they need to press? Because I tried to walk someone through it yesterday, and he kept saying, "Oh, it says it's already been processed." So does that mean his payment had already? There was just some confusion there. So if they've already finished everything, what comes up when they hit the Renew Now button again?
So here, let me log in as another member that I haven't renewed yet, and let's take a look. So what happens is, I'm going to log in as John Smith here. And I'm going to go through the renewal process. And let's say it's a 1-year renewal. I answer all my questions. I proceed to payment. And then for whatever reason, I can't pay right now. I forgot that I didn't bring my credit card with me. I'm working at the financial institution. I can't click the submit button. So I end up bailing out of that. At this point, what happens is there's still the Renew Now link here that's on the screen because the renewal is still only partially completed. The renewal app is completed, but the payment's not completed. So in that case, they would click Renew Now again, and you can see it skips the actual application because the application has already been input. So really all that's left to do is for them to do their payment. And once they do this, if everything is correct, that Renew Now button goes away. And it won't be available again until this application has been approved and then reconciled by the regional office.
But I think he was going actually to the front page of our website and clicking on the Renew Now.
Okay. So it's still the same. It brings you to the same place. So if I go to bnimn.com, this Renew Now link, it does ask you to log in. Unfortunately, it's bringing me to this one. It's bringing me to the BNI Connect one. Hold on a second. Let me do this slightly differently. I need to change the shortcut link here. But essentially all that is a shortcut link to this. And because I've already submitted my application here, it tells me that the renewal application is already in process. If I had, again, gotten to the point where the application was submitted, but the payment wasn't processed yet, it would take me right to that payment page. So the other thing you can do is if people can't find the link or what have you, is you can just copy and paste that link and send that to the members as well. So you can actually just email them this hyperlink. In an email, and they can click that link in the email because it is a generic link.
Okay. So that was the because I had never seen that before this application was being processed. So that's good. So that means that they were complete payment and
yes,
and renewal. Okay, cool. Thank you. Any other questions from you guys?
Just that Secretary Treasurer question. You know, when the
Oh.
Secretary Treasurer goes into the MDR, and
We need to speak up.
oh, sorry, Jeremy, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so when the Secretary Treasurer goes into the MDR and clicks the Renew button behind the name of the person renewing, it renews the Secretary Treasurer.
So when the Secretary Treasurer goes in to the membership dues report,
Yep, and they are looking around and they're trying to help their members renew. They click the Renew button for the member, thinking they're, you know, going to get to their renewal.
They go to the member profile, and on the member profile, that red Renew button.
oh, we took it away.
Oh, yay.
For Secretary Treasurers?
Yes. Well, we took that button away. So I think what you're referring to is the. Let me just log in again as somebody. So if we go to the on the my account page, this button will only appear for you on your own personal membership record.
Perfect.
Oh,
Thank you.
yay, we love you.
That's awesome.
So we took that away. We took that confusion away. All right, we do have a couple of questions typed in here. Diane says, what will we do if an app was accidentally approved but then needs to be declined? In that case, what you would do is you'd have to contact the regional office, and the regional office would have to void that application. So the regional office can void the application at that point, which is essentially just throwing that one away.
No, they get the email that they're... So the member would have gotten an email that they were approved.
Yes.
And then we void it, but they're still a member at that point, correct? So then they'd have to go back and decline it?
Well,
Or
at that
how would
point,
that work?
I mean, I would assume that if you're declining their approval at that point, that you're pretty much not allowing them to continue as a member. Is that
Okay.
correct? Or is that a false assumption?
No, that's what we would assume.
Well, with the member, because if we void it, then the member, in order to decline their renewal, technically we would have to go. They would have to go in and renew again, and then we can hit the decline button. And or at that
If you
point,
want
just
it
drop
on their
the paper.
record, if you want it on their record that it was declined, then yes, you would have to go through and do another approval and do a decline. But at that point, if you're declining them, more than
Just
likely
drop
you're
them
dropping
again.
them right now anyway. So you would void the record and then just go and probably drop that member.
Okay.
You know, there's no need to put in another application or have them put in another application to then decline it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Could you pull out another one? We just want to
Might be
decline it.
fun.
Rub salt in their wound.
Right? It would be horrible.
Let's see, we have a couple more. Julie says, be sure that the member renewing uses their correct billing address for their payment type. So there, we have had some cases where the member, for example, was using a company credit card in order to renew, but they were putting in their home address as opposed to the credit card's address, and it kept getting declined. It kept getting declined. It wouldn't go through. It wouldn't go through. One thing about BNI Connect and the way that we process payments is that none of the payment processing happens inside BNI Connect. All of the payment processing happens on a third-party website. So in your case, it actually goes to the authorized.net servers, and everything happens on their side. So BNI Connect wasn't declining that. It wasn't broken or anything in that way. It was just that the credit card payment wasn't going through in that particular case, and in others like it. Diane says, what is the cutoff time for the VP to approve an application? Essentially, there is no real cutoff time, not as far as from a programming standpoint. Theoretically, somebody could be sitting in pending approval forever and ever. That's why it will be a good idea to get in the habit as director consultants to make sure that you're checking the pending applications on a regular basis. Now, you can do this on a regional level as well, making an assumption here that they may have access. Do you know if they have access to the pending renewals report offhand?
I'm not sure.
They don't.
They don't? So what you'd want to do is for your chapters, make sure that you're going into operations chapter, manage memberships, and you want to go in and check the pending applications for your chapters on a regular basis to see where people stand in the process, because you can see the date that it was input and what the status is. So here we can see for, let's say, the Bayside Referrals chapter, they had 2 renewals that were put in. They have been approved already, and what the application dates were. So these ones are good to go from a processing standpoint. In one case, it looks like Joy still needs to submit their payment, however. So does that make sense? As far as late fees are concerned with the renewal process, as long as the member submits their application on time, so before they go into late status in BNI Connect, then they will not incur a late fee as part of this process. And Kathy says, can we get a copy of the slides that shows the email generation of who gets what? And absolutely, I'm going to send a copy of this PowerPoint presentation, and I'll also send the copy of the webinar itself over to Tanya. Tanya, at that point, if you'd like to edit the PowerPoint to take out things that you might not feel are relevant, such as the reconcile process for the regional office that's part of that PowerPoint, I'll get that over to you, and then you can distribute it. Would that be okay?
Yes.
All right. Kathy says, awesome. And that was the last question I had on my list. What other questions? What other questions do you guys have? Going once. Going twice. Sold. All right. If you guys do have questions as you're going through the process with your members, just let us know and we'd be happy to help out. By the way, all of this is documented as well. You should have access to it in the help desk. So if you go to the help desk, again, click on the question mark in BNI Connect. That will take you over to the support site. And in the director-only section, we do have a whole section dedicated to the online renewals. So this has the, for example, the pre-approving a membership renewal. This is all in here, all the different steps and what to do and how to do it and what the emails look like that come as part of this, and all the different steps of that process. So,
Jeremy, could you talk about our next upcoming webinar for our leadership teams and members? What date did we do for that?
We did let me just get it here real quick.
Isn't it January 8th or 6th?
Yep. It is January 6th at the same bat time, same bat channel, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time on January 6th. And then we also have one on January 20th, I believe an hour earlier at 2 p.m. Central Time.
Cool. And that's for our leadership teams and members to attend, so if they have any questions, and so directors, if your leadership teams are hesitant or having questions, please direct them to this. Our goal is
Tanya,
that
I read the wrong one. That one was for Kentucky. Yours is on the 16th. So the 16th is the roundtable one, and the 6th is the one for where we'll go through for members and leadership teams.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Jeremy. Anything else from the team? Thank you, Jeremy, very much for taking the time to do this for us. We so appreciate it, and you make our life better every single day. Thank you.
All right, and if there's any additional questions, just send them on in to support@bniconnect.com or send them over to the regional office and they'll forward them to us. So,
awesome.
All right, have a great afternoon, everyone. If I don't talk to you before then, have a wonderful holiday for you and your families.
Same here.
All right.
Thank
Happy
you.
connecting.